Hello everyone and welcome back to another edition of RedHawks Weekly, a special edition as we celebrate the 20th anniversary team for the RedHawks that E put together a couple weeks ago. And again, Eric Peterson joining me from the forum. I'm Jody Norstedt. But first, E, we want to start off with one of the most fabulous fans. I got an opportunity to meet her a couple of weeks ago and wanted to share this story. Take a look.
Because it's because I like the RedHawks so much and I yell for them, "Let's go RedHawks!"
Mandy LaTurner is just 7 years old, but when she gets to her seat at the RedHawks game,
come on, quit stalling!
She doesn't take being a fan lightly.
Let's go RedHawks! I'm pretty small, so my throat is kind of strong enough to get all of it out. Let's go RedHawks! Let's go!
And when a RedHawks player steps up to the plate, she lets you know.
Come on, Zach! I sometimes change it come on, RedHawks, believe in yourselves, or hit a grand slam, if the bases are full. Make sure I'm drinking plenty of fluids.
Her cheering may lead to some empty seats in front of her, but don't worry, Mandy doesn't take anything personal.
Everybody pretty much that likes the RedHawks really likes me, probably.
Well, it's been an experience in keeping old people on their toes.
You guys ever want to get up and move spots?
Oh, it had entered our mind.
Come on, Frank!
Mandy knows the players.
I know there's Frank Salerno, Joe Staley, Joe Donegan. Come on, Jack!
And she knows the RedHawks are struggling this season.
Yeah, it's been a very tough year for them. Probably it's going to take better, stronger arms and everything, more push-ups and whatever.
And if they need someone to act as a drill sergeant for those push-ups,
Come on, Joe! Hit us home! Run!
absolutely love the passion of Mandy. Boy, have you ever heard her in the press box when you've been watching games?
I have heard something, and now I know where it's coming from. I guess maybe we should do some more push-ups to strengthen this show, right?
Yeah, exactly. Ratings are down, so maybe we need Mandy to come on here to be our little pep crew. But absolutely awesome story. Go ahead, visit Mandy, go talk to her. She can talk. Trust me, you heard her in that segment. So the next time you're at a RedHawks game, listen for that voice, and it will be coming out of a little 10-year-old girl named Mandy. So pretty good stuff there. Also wanted to touch on the 20th anniversary team. Let's take a look at some of the position players, DH, utility guys. E, when you look at this list, I know fans voted for this, but you guys put it out. What strikes you on this list?
Well, there's no surprises with seeing Chris Coast make it at catcher, a local guy who won a World Series ring. What strikes me, what I like about the list, it's from a bunch of different eras. You have some guys who played on those first 3 years, from 96 to 98, and when that section culminated with the league championship in 1998. You have guys from around the 2000s, and you have some recent guys like Zach Prempres, who's playing on the team right now. When we get to the pitchers, Jake Labor, who's also on that. So I thought the fans did a good job of not only picking the best players, but also giving credence to all of the 20 years and not just voting the most recent guys, because that's more clear in your mind, in your memory.
Yeah, we'll take a look at some video here in a bit. I wanted to pop up the catchers here. Jake Labor, as you mentioned, one of those guys. Jeff Bittiger, another one of those guys that's on this list. Greg Selvevol, the guy that's here locally, and then Steve Montgomery, the RedHawks old pitching coach.
Well, you look at those, Labor, Bittiger, Salvo, longevity, they're all up there in career wins for the franchise. Steve Montgomery has the saves record for the franchise. And a guy like Doug Young, I think, made 150 appearances. Very close for that #2 relief spot with George Schmidt, who also had an excellent career as he started as a setup man. And I think one season he had a stretch of 40-plus innings, scoreless, and then he followed that up by becoming a closer and doing a nice job in that closer's role.
Well, when you celebrate something like this, it's always an excuse to dig up some old archive video. This is some video of Darryl Motley, guys like Johnny Knott, Chris Kosa, you'll see Jeff Bittiger. But what struck you, more can you say about Darryl Motley? Still holds a team record for RBIs in a season, 103 in 1996.
Well, you look at the 103, not only did that, but I think it was an 84 game or an 82 game season at that point. Now they're playing 100 games and they still haven't been able to eclipse that. And you know, the folklore of the RedHawks is he had a home run one time where he hit it and it hit those physical plant or NDSU buildings beyond there. And, you know, they'll estimate it at 500, 600, I don't know, 800 feet. And you kind of wonder, but he had that kind of, you know, power, and he's just the guy that's going to be remembered.
Here's your current Concordia head coach, Chris Coast. We all know what he went on to do in his career, but hey, it started somewhere in Fargo-Moorhead, right?
And I talked to him when I was doing this, putting this team together, and he said without the RedHawks, he doesn't think a lot of that stuff would have happened after that. And basically saying he might not have ended up with the Phillies and won the World Series championship. So he feels this was a huge role in kickstarting his professional baseball career.
Absolutely cool to see number 10 out there for the Fargo-Moorhead.
That looks like you out in center field, Jody.
Yeah, exactly. And this ends up an inside the park home run. Look at the hustle. I wonder if Coast could do this nowadays. Absolutely fantastic to watch. And then Jeff Bittiger here on the mound, obviously helped coach with the RedHawks. Pretty impressive to see some of his video as well.
Well, not only a good pitcher, I think he was 36-12 record-wise. Yeah. He also was the pitching coach there, and he molded a lot of those pitching staffs that helped them win championships. So, you know, Jeff Bittiger, Doug Simonik, the Thomes, and even, you know, Josh Buchholz starting as a clubhouse guy. Those are some of the key figures in getting this franchise off the ground, and 20 years later, it's still here.
Joe Mathis, another guy that wasn't in that video, but a guy that scored over 400 runs for the RedHawks. I think he almost drove in nearly 400 runs. Joe Mathis was incredible in his time here in the RedHawks.
Well, you know, a lot of fans go to the park to see home runs and stuff like that. When Joe hit that right center gap and would get a triple, to me that was almost as exciting or more exciting from a home run than a home run, because he just put on the jets and he can get from home to third in a hurry. He was very good.
I remember interning up here and covering the RedHawks in 2007. And seeing Joe Mathis at the ballpark, he was worth the price of admission, him alone. That brought back a lot of fun memories. Let's take a look at some of the recent guys, and we'll start with Zach Penpraise. Obviously, the hair stands out, the walk-up music, Hall & Oates stands out, but this guy's been a pretty darn good ball player for a lot of years.
And just the longevity, and he came in pretty raw, and he turned into a good hitter. The speed was always there. He gave him the amount of range defensively that, you know, they haven't had too much. Another guy who factored in at shortstop was Chad Akers, another fan favorite from those early years. One of the closer votes at positions, but you know, just Zach over time, just what he's done. Like I said, just a fan favorite. And I think he was a good player on the field, and the fans kind of related to him. So I think you mix that all together, and that's why he's the shortstop on this team.
Nothing better. He holds the franchise records for games played, runs scored, hits, and here's another doozy of a player who's playing for Winnipeg right now. Nick Jackson had his final year at the RedHawks last year, but man, he can still hit the ball a ton, can he?
You know, similar to Joe Mathis, not quite as fast, maybe a little bit more power, but two center fielders that could cover a lot of ground. At the plate, they're going to be very productive. They could steal bases. You know, RedHawks are very lucky to have two center fielders of that caliber in their first 20 years. You know, AAA type guys, for some reason or another, were playing, you know, for the Northern League then, and now American Association, but two very accomplished players.
Jackson helped anchor those Northern League championship teams back in 2009 and 2010. This guy's been a stud as well. Again, a Fargo kid, Jake Labor, just retired after this last season. I believe the strikeouts leader in RedHawks history. The guy's done it all.
I just think of a workhorse. He was always there. He made his starts. I don't think he had missed too many starts due to injury. Very reliable. His stuff wasn't like over-the-top electric, but always around the zone. And, you know, a lefty starter who can give you 100-plus innings a year, that's pretty valuable in this league, and that's what he did for a number of years.
Also, a huge pro wrestling fan as well. I think he's went to a few WWE events. We had him on RedHawks Weekly, I think, last year or the year before. But Jake Labor, absolutely fantastic, one of the nicest guys you will ever meet.
Well, his walk-up music to the mound was Cult of Personality in Living Color. That's the CM Punk entrance music for those out there who don't know that. So
this guy can hit the ball a little bit. He's taking pictures now in town, but Jesse Horlbeck, man, it was fun to watch him smash 65 home runs over his 3 seasons with the RedHawks, 215 runs driven in. You still see him around the ballpark from time to time, but Jesse, boy, it was fun to watch him hit the ball.
just the presence in the middle of the lineup. And he might, I mean, obviously with the home runs, that he's the most prolific guy, but just the presence. You know, you pitched around him a lot. You know, he had a Father's Day game, I believe it was 4 home runs he hit in one game.
Oh.
Just mashing the ball. And another thing that is a little underrated, he had great hands at first base. You know, anything hit to him, he'd scoop. And even more impressive, he would save errors from infielders, because if the throw was a little low, he was very good at picking throws to first base. So he had defensive value and obviously offensive value with the way he could hit the ball.
His brother pitched pretty well too for the RedHawks. Casey, right?
Yeah, the big, tall, kind of a sidewinding reliever. So yeah, the Horlbeck family's helped out this organization here throughout the years.
Well, the current season, obviously, it's the RedHawks kind of out of the playoff picture at this point as we pop up the standings, but this team they're still hanging in there. They're still playing, trying to win some games here. 19-37 is the record. That doesn't look good, but you have an opportunity to catch teams. They still have an easy opportunity, I say easy maybe lightly, but to finish second in this division, Winnipeg and Sioux Falls struggling because St. Paul's eating up all the wins.
And maybe you set a goal to get back to 500. That could be very tough at this point.
Yeah.
But the pitching has been really good, and you know, the last 10 days or so they played better. They're right around that 500 mark. But overall, it's just, you know, the offense. They just have not been able to find a consistent offensive pulse all season. There might be a blip here of 8 to 7 runs, but in this league, you got to be at that 5 to 6 to 7 run game in and game out, because their pitching's been good. I think just recently, Brandon Mann had another start where he pitched a complete game and lost. I mean, that just happened way too much this year for this team, and that's why they are where they're at right now.
The team is at Rockland Thursday through Saturday. Then it's 3 days off, which they'll need because they've been out on this travel trip for about 2 weeks, and then they'll be at home Wednesday against Grand Prairie. So let's see. We'll see what happens the rest of the season. I know Doug is frustrated probably. He's still been making moves. It's not like this team is mailing it in. He still wants to win.
And you know, the team's played hard. I mean, they've had a couple games where they've been on the wrong side of the score by a lot, but that's going to happen. But you look at the one-run games they've lost. I mean, their record in one-run games is not very good. And if they flip that the other way, or even at 500, they're maybe in contention to get to that 500 mark. But in one-run games and extra inning games, this team just has struggled winning those type of games this season.
All right. Well, we'll see you out at the ballpark, Newman Outdoor Field, next Wednesday as the RedHawks return home finally. I know a lot of fans have been waiting for it against Grand Prairie. For Eric Peterson, I'm Jody Norstedt. We'll see you next time on RedHawks Weekly.